you're old enough to speak consistently until you die. Most of the words that you say generally aren't very memorable. I don't know about you, but almost all of mine, as soon as I heard that stat, I thought they're almost all like, I gotta turn left, I need to get milk. No, the project is delayed. Yes, I'd like cheese with that. They're very transactional. They get something across and they get something to me, but they're not necessarily doing anything that's very interesting with the language that we are able to speak. And so I figured at some point I have to look up, after seeing leaders and the way that people are able to inspire crowds, how are all these people so articulate? What are they able to do that makes it so instinctive to pick the right words, the right phrases, the right structures that sound so good while getting points across? And it seems that there are three big ways that you can do it to use descriptive language effectively. You can be the smartest, you can be the first whenever you come up with a new phrase, or you can cheat. Now, even in this room, I don't think I'm the smartest, and I don't think I'm going to be the first to come up with a new turn of phrase, but I'm more than willing to cheat. What that means here is that you can just pay attention to the words that other people around you say, keep them in your back pocket, and then reuse them another time when it makes sense. So my goal for this speech is to implore you to pay attention to the beauty of the language around you, the little snippets that make the most difference. Keep them in your back pocket and then use them so that you can be more articulate and use descriptive language effectively in real time. The first place I started looking was going to be the all-time Hall of Fame for descriptive language. And I'm going to read you a couple of passages here that I think work really well, that I'm sure you, whether you wanted to or not, had to read at some point in high school or college. The first one's by Robert Frost, and it's talking about just the stillness of a winter's night. These woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Probably you've heard it, it may be on the back of a card, but if you really think about it, if you described woods as lovely, dark, and deep without having heard that poem, people would think, wow, that's really clever. Dark, deep, it provides a lot of dimensionality to describing woods that otherwise it's quiet, cold. It gives a lot of information and depth to a story and an exact emotion that you're able to feel with only a few common words. Another one, a little bit farther back, but from Dante's Inferno, the first lines that you'll hear more often than you'd think. Midway upon the journey of our lives, I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward path had been lost. He was saying, I'm about middle age. I see that people who are twice my age are dying, and I don't think I know where I'm going. But instead of saying that, it's, I'm in a deep, dark forest. I see that I'm partway through the journey of our lives. The straightforward path has been lost. You can pull those out in a lot of ways, especially if you're partway through a project, things are lost, you're not feeling very good. It seems like you know a lot more than what's going on. Another one, Emily Dickinson. She was describing what it feels like to have hope, even when things are against you. And for her perspective, hope isn't really a thing that just emerges. Hope is a thing that's always within you. She describes it, hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. That sticks with you. Hope is like a bird inside of you that's always singing, that always has something, it's always alive, always joyful. It's better than just, yeah, I think I've got hope. This is going to work out. I sure hope so. The last one I want to pull is Ralph Waldo Emerson, Self-Reliance. Trust thyself, every heart vibrates to that iron string. Accept the place the divine providence has found for you. Instead of, it is what it is, you can pull sections of these phrases out, and it really upgrades your language and makes you sound a lot more articulate while describing something in a lot more detail that people can relate to. So if that sounds kind of difficult, which it certainly is, just listen to the idioms that people say. But instead of them going into your head, just going out the other ear, pay attention literally to what people are saying. I've got a couple of common idioms here, and then what their literal turn of phrase is, and quickly you'll see that idioms can be really pretty cool, especially if you're intentional about them. Like the idea of the calm before the storm. It's less busy now than it will be. That's not very interesting. Or, there are ants in your pants. You seem nervous. There are all kinds of these. Busy as a bee, fish out of water, bite the bullet. No one's going to say, oh, you may aggravate a bad situation. You're not going to think someone's very clever, but if they say, oh, you're fanning the flames of this debate, people are going to immediately think, like, oh, wow, like, there's a whole fire of raging of this debate. There's a lot of directions this can go. You can add a lot of depth and descriptiveness to your words without going over the top. Being the kind of person that refuses to say someone he said, she said, you can really use language in an effective, consistent, real-time way by just stealing the common turns of phrase that you'll see around you. So, my call to action here, pay attention to the words that are used around you. When people say something that's really insightful, a really good use of language or turn of phrase, pay attention to that and keep it in your back pocket. Notice the beauty of the language around you, even in things that seem kind of boring. It's easy to let idioms go in one ear and out the other, like that, and not even pay attention to what it really is meaning or if the phrasing is useful. Now, you don't need to necessarily use exactly the language of the idiom, but use that as inspiration. What things have people characterized in certain ways that you could then make a play off of? And finally, be intentional about your language. If you're going to use 5,000 words a day, at least make some of them worth remembering so that you can be proud of yourself the next day. Thank you.